Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry no video the last few times. I've just been getting over the flu and feeling in a way better mood and head to do some more. So this is only going to be a little short one to say I'm back and I'm alive. Some of you are probably crying now. But anyway, I'm just going to take you on a little bit of a journey. I've been going through some boxes. When I wasn't well, I just decided I'm going to go through and start sorting some of the stuff out. And I was going through looking for something else in some of my boxes. And this is what I found. So, grab yourself a drink, a few snacks, and a comfy old chair. And let's have a look. So guys, here we have it. So I was going through looking for some bits and pieces for a project I'm doing, and I came across a box that had piles and piles of old bits and pieces on them. And what did I find? Well, to some people, it would have been a rather treasure trove. To me, it's stuff that I'm not really interested in and I'm not going to be keeping. So I'm going to go through, check it all out, and then I'll probably find a new home for it. But in the box, there was a ZX81 and a manual, two ZX81 original power supplies, an original ZX81 expansion unit 16K, and there were these two weird things. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but this one is a DK-Tronics, and a few people have asked, I said, oh, it might be the 3-channel sound card, and it's not. I've undone the screws, and it's just got one logic chip and some passives in there. So I'm not sure what it is, but it's got a jack on the top here. We can open up and have a look at it anyway. The other thing I found in here was this weird looking thing. Now this is heavy. It's not like, it's like it's solid and it's been cast in resin or something. But this I think is either for the ZX81 or for a Spectrum. I'm not too sure. Both of those two could be for that. I know that is definitely for the 81. The other thing there was in there was a couple of bits for a Spectrum, which I'm hanging on to. There was a original power supply and an expansion unit too for the printer joysticks and the port on the top for the data connection to go into. I'm hanging on to those for the 48K that I've got. But anyway, there's those. One other really interesting thing I found. Hang on a sec. I found a user's manual with an Electron, Acorn, and a pile of tapes. This one I'm not sure. This one I think is for a BBC, because I don't think the Acorn came with that software. But also in amongst it were some Micro B cassette games, and these are all originals, and these are all original Australian released ones. So there were some games there: King Kong, Calliope. Was on the other side, Ghost Muncher, which is I think a Pac-Man clone, Asteroids, and the thing was, is back in the day, the tape decks had issues loading software because a lot of these machines didn't come with their own tape decks. You had to get one. So with some of these companies, when they did the software, they did it at 24 baud, like modem speed recording at 24 baud, and then on the second side they did it at 300 baud at a slower rate. So if your machine couldn't handle the faster one and came up with errors loading, you could try the slower side and see if it loaded. Later on, that sort of thing wasn't much of an issue. So, but I'm picking that as BBC, so Micro B or something along those lines. And then there was some of these were just recorded on tapes. And then in another box, and for the Acorn, a pile of tapes. And there's things like Boxer, there's Creative Graphics for the Acorn, for Acorn Soft. There's Hopper, Sniper, all sorts. The learning cassettes, Arcadians, and there's even an old magazine tape in here for Champ. And this came on the magazine's And I think this was for the Home Computer Advanced course, and this came as a cassette which came with it, and this was for the BBC, the Commodore 64, and the Spectrum 48. So it was done for the 4 different machines that the book came out with. So there are those, and those will go with that. So there's all this sort of stuff, and I'm sort of, I don't have the machines. It's not something I want to start collecting. I have enough stuff to collect at the moment. So I'm going to look at moving this stuff on. I've already put a few queries up online. People thought I was getting rid of hardware. No. Hardware would be going up online, and would be going for a lot more than what I'm going to be asking for that. But no, it's all just the software and stuff that I've found. Other than that, yeah, I'm thinking we'll just have a quick look at this, see if this actually goes. The only problem I've got is it's only an RF out, and I don't think I've got anything with RF on it. I think I do have a mod unit floating around for one of these, so that could be the other thing. Or I could always do a quick look online to see what a quick and dirty AV mod is for it, and then we could try this and see if it actually works. Age-wise, it could be a buggered keyboard membrane in this. That tends to be what goes in them, or something else. I'm just not 100% sure. But anyway, then we can open this up and have a look. We'll open that up and just double check it, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. And the first call in business is checking these power supplies to make sure that they're not faulty. So those are going to be the first things we're going to have to do. Alright, so give me a few minutes to clean the decks and get some of the superfluous stuff out of the way, and we will look at the power supplies first. I'll see you in a few minutes. Right guys, so we're all ready to go. I have the power supply. Check these, and thought they were a Philips. Nope. Flat blade. Anyway, got a flat blade screwdriver. So anyway, we are going to open these up and just check them first. I don't want to plug this in and then find it's going to shove something weird down inside the ZX81 and kill it. And I was just thinking, I've got a funny feeling I've got another ZX81 kicking around here somewhere that I got a long time ago, and I thought, oh, I'll sort out some sort of a power supply for it and get it back together and see if it works. I remember my brother, when we first started getting into computers back, long way back in the 80s, he had a ZX81, and it was the best thing since sliced bread when we got it. And we were in our teens, of course, late teens, and we would sit down with these books and type stuff in for hours, and we'd sit in there and push the button and run it, and it was magic. These little blocks and figures, buddy, they weren't figures, they were characters and things were going across the screen, and we thought it was the greatest thing you could ever do, until you knocked the power supply, and then that was it. You turned it off. We didn't have a tape deck, so you turned it off, or you knocked the power supply, you lost everything, and there was your hours of typing stuff in. So that got old really quick. So we sorted out a old tape deck, and we had, and tried that and made sure that was working okay, and it was. And we could put stuff on and save it, and then load it back on, and it was working fine. So that was really good. So we decided that the problem with it was these 1K games sort of took a real there should be something better than this on this machine. And I think back in the day when it was bought, it was like $90 or something, but that was a lot of money back then. That was like your weekly wage back then was probably $180, $190 a week. So that was to that point that we had to do something better than that, and we got a 16K cartridge. Well, that's when the fun started. You'd run the 16K, and that was really cool. You looked for somewhere that had in the magazines, or you bought a book or got a book from the library with the type-ins for it, and you're typing all the stuff in. And the problem with them was the connector on the back of these ZX81s You knocked it and the thing froze or reset, or it was a nightmare. And in the time where we used to put double-sided adhesive tape and things along there to try and hold it together so it wouldn't move, we got to the point that after a while they used to heat up, and they used to get that hot that they would stop working. So we were trying to work out, and people said, "Oh, you stick them in the fridge and let them cool down, chuck them in the freezer for a few minutes." So that's what we used to do, not sort of knowing what sort of thermal dynamics we were putting on the poor chips inside of it. But that was all to do with the dual voltages they were running, and that the cases were sealed with those chips in them, so the heat had nowhere to go, just to build up inside the case. So it wasn't until later on that they had the single voltage chips that came out that things changed with the heat side of stuff. But those look all okay. I'm just checking all the connectors are not shorting inside here. These are pretty basic. They're a 9-volt AC, I think they are, or they might be just a chopped DC, whereas what they do is they take the AC and they just filter half of it through a couple of diodes or something, but I don't think so. I think this has just got some bulk capacitors on the AC side, and what that does is that just smooths out the ripple in it coming through, and then inside the ZX it actually has the regulator to regulate the 9 volts down to 5 volts or whatever it needs. But anyway, this one doesn't look too bad, so the plug looks right on this other end. We might plug her in and just check the voltage on this end to see if it's going to go bang or not. I do have my current limiter plugged in. That's my light bulb tester, so I've got all that plugged in ready to go, and I'll turn that on. I'll get the multimeter out and get the multimeter ready. So move this other one out of our way for now, we're not using that one. AC we want. Yep, put it onto AC. Yep, okay. And so when we turn her on, I'm pretty sure it's positive tip. A lot of these early UK based PCs were positive tip, negative outer. Some went negative outer, negative tip, positive outer, but I'm pretty sure these are all positive centre. So we'll turn her on. It's on. It didn't go bang, which is good. And unloaded, that's coming out at 28.5. So I'm not sure what it's meant to be, whether that's good or not. I'll turn that off, and there's nothing written on the bottom. What's written on the lid of this? I'll have to put my eyes on for a second, guys. It's 9 volt. Oh, it says 9 volts DC, so it must be a filtered output on this inside there somewhere. So what we can do is we can have another look at it in the DC range, and then that'll be positive tip, negative on the base shaft. So I'll turn this back on. Unloaded 14 volts, yeah, that should be fine. For an unloaded power supply, that's fine. It does drop down a little bit, and they do fluctuate around the 9 to 9.5, 10 volts. They do bounce around there a little bit. It's not great, as you can see. There's not great filtering in them. So I think those would be okay. We'll screw that one back together, and we will check the other one. Okay, so as we can see, this one's a little bit different, and we only have one cap here, but we have a group of diodes down there, and yet this is exactly the same, 9 volts DC output at 0.7 amps. The model numbers are a little bit different. This one is a UK 700, and this one is a UK 1200. So I'm picking, this one is probably the original ZX81 power supply. The 1200 was for the added RAM and things like that, so I didn't brown it out all the time. That is probably what it is. And these diodes are probably hidden underneath the border in the front or something on the other one anyway. So, but they're both English made, and 240 volt, 220, 240 volt. So I'm picking both of these probably do work. I don't think I would have chucked them in the box if they weren't. But just make sure there's no shorts in the wires. Nope, no shorts in the wires. So we should be looking at around about 9 to 14 volts. No bangs, which is good. And that's sitting at 13.8. Yep, so that's a good one as well. So that's saying that functionally it is a good power supply. There's no guarantees under load that this is not going to have an issue. I don't know. But at least we know the power supplies are running fine. So I will put this one back together. And I think I will use the right way around. I think I will use the 1200 one because I want to try the RAM expansion as well to see if the RAM expansion works. The other thing too I noticed is that this 700, this UK 700, has all the feet on it, whereas the 1200 is actually missing one little rubber pad foot, which is not a biggie. I can find something to go on there to replace that foot with. That's why I don't like the flat blades or the slotted head, as some people call them, screws, because they're a pain to do up and it's easy to strip the heads on them. Anyway, we will put that one aside. So this is the 1200 power supply, and as I said, that's the one with the missing foot in this corner over here. It's missing that foot there, but that seems to work alright. What I want to do is I want to open up the ZX81 and just double check. As I was saying, I just want to double check there's no shorts on it. You know, so the feet are all over the place on this too. I did get some brand new feet. These are a little bit taller than what they're meant to be, but they are the same size. So I can put a brand new set of feet on it. And these are off AliExpress. They are fairly cheap to buy. You can get the lower ones than these. I should have gotten some, but these are for a project I'm doing, so I can spare a few to go with it. Now it's this one. And of course, being the ZX81, it's Phillips screws and not black blade. why not and smaller? So I'm going to have to go and grab me. Oh, I wonder if I can get that one down there. It's the only problem with these is the tips tend to be quite short. I'll be right with that, so I don't know. That one might be an issue. The only problem with these is that the tips are actually very short. They're not very long, and when you put them in that, the size of this collet makes it hard to get it down in the hole. I know we lucked out. It's long enough to do that. And I don't even think there's a screw in that one anyway. I don't know about our chances of this one, guys. It looks like someone has been inside here. I'm going to have to find some screws. I've got some containers full of screws when I used to strip down laptops and that, and because they were a very tiny screw, I used to hang on to them for when I needed a screw for another job. But yeah, that's oh no, that God, whatever they've done, they screwed right through the plastic on that other one. This one in here. Either that, or they've done them up that much they've pulled it through the plastic. Yeah, that's not good. Really? Yeah, no. They they've done it up that much, they've pulled it through the plastic. It's like, really? Might be able to get away with dropping a small washer down in there and putting the screw back in. But anyway, we'll take that one out. Because that one is actually meant to be there, not there. That is the one that's meant to go through the case, so why did they put that one there? I think they've just mucked up in the holes they meant to put them in. Never mind, I will mark them so I know where they go. Right, it's got those two marked. So yeah, it looks like they put one of the screws in the wrong hole, and then they decided, oh well, we don't have another screw now, so we'll get rid of that, and they binned it. No, keyboard membrane looks alright. I wonder if it's been replaced. Could have been. Could be gentle pulling it out, because I don't want to break it. It's not something I want to buy another one. Yeah, looks like it might be alright. And when you do these membranes, it's actually this whole thing, you heat it up, peel it off, and put a new one on. Because these are a non-fixable, basically. I remember back in the old days when we had ours, there was a third-party piece you could stick over the top of this and gave you like push-down keys on it, but it was still using this horrible membrane underneath. Made it look better and cooler, but hey. Anyway, everything but the RAM, I think it is socketed on here. Why did they put that on backwards for? Really? Who knows? The other thing in these which packs up is the power socket. So you just got to watch those. This one looks like it's in pretty good condition, actually. It's Sinclair ZX81 USA. Okay, there we go. IC4B is not on here, nor is the resistor pack 2. And that all could be to do to whether it was PAL or NTSC or wherever it was going in the world. The other things that an issue can sometimes be the switches. The power switches can play up on these. So we'll just check that. We'll check the regulator to make sure it's not short as well. I don't like that. It's a bit close. It's not touching. But whoever's done it's pushed that resistor down. And it was almost touching these two legs on the ULA. So they may have replaced the power port on this and they've pushed them over to do that. There's flux on the bottom, but it does look like older flux. There's no... Oh yeah, the header pin has been redone. I wonder why they've done that. It looks like they've swapped it around. Oh no, that's... No, they haven't. It looks like it has been reworked along here, though. A bit of scratching of the silk mask down the back here, but it's just that connector, the large connector. We don't like that. Resistor through there, and they've bent the leg over right next to a transistor. Really? So you might be able to see it. I'll just point it out to you right here. Right on that there. See if I can get you to see that. That's a long leg. And they had it bent right across here towards the pin on the transistor. It wasn't quite touching, but it wouldn't have taken much. So why not just snip it off? Like that. A lot happier with that now. It's not going to cause an issue. So whether somebody's replaced it or... I'm not sure. But yeah, a lot of crusty old flux. It's the old yellowy style. So it may have gone back to have the one of the ports replaced, or both. No, probably just the one. The one port replaced, maybe. Or it could have been when they were doing the DC jack, the power jack. There's another one. This is what I mean, guys. Look over here. The way they've got these leads. This lead here is just bent over, going towards that pad. Going towards that pad, and it's like you're just asking for trouble. You know, it doesn't take much, and I mean the other one is bent back the other way. It's like it was so close to be causing an issue. But I'm happy I opened this up to have a look. The rest over there all looks alright. So someone may have replaced a couple of passives, or they may have done it at a repair shop, maybe. And they've just bent them over and not clipped them properly, or they've pre-cut them and put them in and thinking, yeah, that's good. No, that is not a good thing. Anyway, I might give the board a wee bit of a clean up first. I'll grab me handy toothbrush and my IPA, and I have a big 4 litre container of IPA, but I keep that under the bench, and I find one of the old pill bottles, and I just fill it up every now and then. I actually have 2 of these. I got a slightly smaller one, so when I'm soaking stuff and cleaning it up, I don't recontaminate, and I just put the old stuff in the other bottle, and I use that for doing basic stuff I'm not too worried about. So if I'm just cleaning something up that I don't mind if a little bit of flux residue gets onto, I will use it for that. Just clean all this up. That looks a lot better. Still a little bit on the end there, but most of that's gone now. And we'll just end one down here. So by the time this goes out, I think it's Mother's Day, or it's just past Mother's Day, and hopefully all you guys have rung your mums and wished them happy Mother's Day, and thanks for everything they've done for you over the years. Yeah, so hopefully, and to all the mums out there that might be watching, happy Mother's Day, or past Mother's Day, because this will come out the day for us. It'll be a Monday. For some other people, because we're ahead of time to quite a bit of the world, this will actually come out the day before, or on Mother's Day, maybe. I don't know. Don't ask me how it works. But anyway, yeah, so other than that all looks good. So I think the only thing to do would be check the switch. And yeah, I think check the switch and check the regulator to make sure that it's not short, and go from there. So right, so I'll get this out the way, move that multimeter. And that's the other thing I found too, is I'm probably going to look at another multimeter as such. I mean, I know my oscilloscope does it, and that this was a freebie I got. It's an Aneng one. It's the DM850. I've changed the leads on them because I didn't like the leads that it came with, and these are a very soft one. And these also have the tips that I can unscrew and change and put different tips into them. And these are the needle point tips. So that's why I've changed it to these, because I like these better. The other ones was like a little wee fat stonky type thing, and they were very hard to get into very tight areas on the boards and that. But anyway, we'll turn this on to continuity. And this is the other thing. It's not digital. It's all analog with the switch. So it is quite an older. It is an older one. So I would like to get something a little bit more modern that will auto range and things like that, so maybe a bit better. Switch it on this side. And if we switch that way, that should make that connection this way. So it's just a single throw switch, so yes, that switch is working fine. Our regulator, we will just check it. Yep, diode, and nothing. Yep, and that of course is connected to the thing to remember is that they are connected to the heatsink here, which is also touching this here. So just be wary of that. There shouldn't be a short across these two. This shouldn't be open. It should be open or be a capacitance. Sorry, it shouldn't be a short. It should be a diode across that. Go the other way. Shouldn't be anything, or it should be high. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. So I'm happy with that. So there is nothing wrong with that. I'm picking. This is probably just going to power up and work. So I think I need to see if there is a way of doing a quick mod to see if we can get a composite out or not. It just makes life a little bit easier, because I still need to work out some way of capturing onto the PC through USB or something. So I've had a little look, and I think I've got one of those USB capture cards from years ago. I think it is OBS compliant, which is what I need to be able to stick it into OBS. So I'm going to have a look at that this week and see if I can find it. I know I've got it in a box. I've got two actually. I've got one, and my brother gave me one a while back to do some stuff with, and has never bothered with it since. I'm going to have a look for that one too. Other than that, they're not too dear. They're about 20 odd bucks, but it's like, do I spend 20 odd dollars for something that doesn't work, and then I'm stuck with it? I don't know. Anyway, I may just have a look and see if there's a quick composite mod for this. Yeah, I think so. I might do that. I might have a quick look to see if there's a quick mod for this, and go from there. And then what I can do is pop it in the base, put the power into it, and then we can see whether there's power getting into this or not. And if there is power getting into here, then turn it off, put the keyboard and everything back together, and go from there. Alright, so it sounds like a plan. So I'll be back shortly. I will just have a look and see if there's a quick way of doing a composite mod on this. Right, so I had a quick look, and there is a quick mod you can make. You can buy modules to go in these, to put them in. Probably does a better picture and smooths it and everything. But what you can do is tap off the 5 volts on the input to the RF modulator. You can take the ULA input. You can either tap off that or take it off. You have to desolder everything off the pin on the RF output jack. Now this is different to the ones I've seen. All the ones I've seen are only 2 wires. This is 3 wires on the side. Plus inside here, it's not just a pin that goes to the center of the RF jack. It has like a filter and a capacitor under it. So what they're doing, I have no idea. So what I've done is I found a female RF inline socket and a couple of wires, and I'm going to make one up to go externally on this to see if it works. If it works fine, I might look at making something up to put in a internal one into it to RF. So anyway, to do the model, we need is a general purpose transistor. So a 2N3904 will be fine, and a 100 ohm resistor. And I'll stick it up here. I will stick a diagram of what it is, and basically one side's to 5 volts, one side's to ground, and the other side is the input from the ULA. And that's all we need. And then we take a ground and our connection out from between the resistor and the transistor to our RF out socket. And that's it. It is quite simple. Very similar to the Spectrums, when you did the ones for the Spectrums. But Spectrum was easy. It was just a capacitor on the side here that you put in. You desoldered off here, and you just tapped into it, took the wire out, tapped into here, through the hole, and then from the 100 UF capacitor to the center tab on the RF jack, and away you went. And it was composite modded internally. It was really nice. The other one I seen, which must be earlier to this one, had the they managed to do the RF mod on here, and left all the rest of this alone. But I think it'll be alright. We've just run it out through and do it that way for now. I mean, it's for testing it anyway, so I can do it and test it with the lid off, so without the top screwed down, just to test it to make sure it works. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make up this little RF mod, and then we'll attach it to this and see how we go. Right, so there we go. So red's in the middle, yellow on the outside. So I don't need a huge cable. Probably about there would be alright. Put wires away. Right, and so how we do this is one end of this is going to earth. So any convenient earth spot would be fine. So I'll find somewhere on the can I can earth it to. Find a grounding point somewhere. And then the other end, as I said, goes to the transistor, and then there's a point between that which then goes to the red one on here. That also goes to ground. And yeah. Done. Right, so with our transistor with the flat face pointing towards us, it is E, B and C, emitter, base, collector. And what we do is we get our 100 ohm resistor and our transistor and our wires, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire it up, and then because I have a ground from here, I'm probably just going to tag the resistor to the wire, and then because the 5 volts will go to the other side transistor. I'm just trying to work out a way I could probably, when I've wired it all together, just encase it in some hot glue or something, just to keep it out of the way so it's not going to short on anything. But yeah, anyway, I will go ahead and do this and then come back to putting it in. Right guys, so unfortunately it's a no-go. It powers up and warms up, but when I put the mod on, it draws so much power that the transistor gets so hot it's going to burn up. So there's something not right with this board layout. I need to have a look and see if I can find out what the actual layout is for this board to know what wires go where. Yeah, I just don't know. But anyway, that's about where we are for this one. Sorry, can't go any further. I don't have anything to plug into this to give me a RF that'll tune into it. That's why I was hoping to do the little RF, but the little composite mod on it. Yeah, a bit sad. Never mind. Yeah, the transistor, the regulator gets quite warm, but it is 5 volts getting to the Z80. The ULA gets a little warm, starts to heat up quite a bit, and the ROM just gets slightly warm. So they should get warmish. They shouldn't get scalding hot. The transistor was enough; it almost burnt me thumb when I tested it, and it didn't take long to get to that temperature. So there's something not right with that somewhere along the line. But I will have a look and see what I can do. Alright, so that's us for now, and we will catch up on the next one. I will just switch you back over. Well guys, there we go. Sorry about that, but no go. I'm going to take some pictures of these and see what I can do online to find out what they are. The last one I will do is, while we're here, is I'll just take the back off. This is that DK-Tronics card that a few people have said that it might be a 3-channel audio, and it's not. The ones I've seen online, they have like a variable knob on top, and this doesn't. It's just like a phono jack. It's audio input, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it is some sort of a control. Could be too. Could be something to control something, which is what it could be for. But anyway, I've just taken it apart and I've slipped the front off it. But it is a properly made case. It's a DK Tronics case. So that's that. Then, as you can see, it has the hole in the... you mightn't be able to see very well. It has the hole in the top of the phono jack. And it's a standard mono 3.5 inch jack. And that's what it is. And it just has a... put my eyes on for you. A 74LS 125. It's got a 22 UF 16 bolt cap in there, a couple of filtering caps or bypass caps, and 2, 3, 4, 5 resistors, and the audio jack. The only thing on the board, it is an LP3. Is all that's on the silk screen of the board on the back here. It's got LP3. That's all that's on this. There's nothing else on the case or anything to tell me what it is or what it does. So, and it's the one, I take it, this is the batch number, is in the front right hand corner there is 51. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get this in shot for you. 51 is the number. So I don't know if there are many of them made. Anyway, that may be a Spectrum more so than a ZX81, and this being quite heavy and solid could be something for the Spectrum too. But I do need to get on to that and have a look at that Spectrum, the one I got that I was going to use for parts. That, from my triage, I had a look at it. It's got all 3 voltages, but 2 of the voltages aren't right. So who knows? Worst case scenario is it may have trashed some of the lower 16k RAM, and if that's the case, I'll just do the same as I did with the other Spectrum I had in to fix for the other chappie I've done a video for, and I'll just do some 4164s and just take the leg across and turn them into 16s, and then we only need 5 volts. We don't need the other 2 voltages for those. We don't need the reference voltages. Anyway, that's all back together. And so I'm picking that probably a Spectrum. I'm not 100% sure, and I think that probably a Spectrum too. Just that they're all in the box of the Spectrum video. It's with the ZX81. I don't know. Anyway, they can go back in the bag, and will be another video. So I'm going to have a look and see if there's any schematics online for this board. And this is a red base board and a silver top board, which is not no, I'm not going to say it's hand routed, because the hand routed are very rounded. This is not quite that bad. It's not quite that round. It's probably one of the early PCB made ones. So what I'm going to do is I'll have to put this one away to the side for now, and we'll come back to it at another stage. Update on the Pico expander. Have been having some issues with it. I thought it was my boards. Some things you've got to watch out for when you go for the cheapest board manufacturer is they can still make mistakes. And I've had it before through JLC PCB where they've stuck wires straight through another track, even though they're meant to check it first. But I found that the guys' schematics, when I went through them in KiCad, they were really, really close to some of the wires and the pin connections and that for the components, and I wasn't happy. When I do them, I try to put them in between the 2 tracks, so there's an equal distance either side. But he was like trying to force 2 wires in between and things like that, and it's like, you just need a little bit of a dodgy solder mask and you could get a bridge. Or the router may not cut it quite as good. So I took his schematics and I made it a 4-layer board rather than a 2-layer. And the thing is that there's no components on the board you have to get them to put on. It's all through hole. So I did it that way, moved all the voltage rails inside the board, moved the ground rails inside the board, and I just had the signal layers top and bottom, rerouted some of them. Because he had everything on the 2 layers, he was running wires through wires and all over the place, and I was like, yeah. I thought, well, why do I have to redesign the whole thing? And I thought, no, what I'll do is I'll convert it to a 4 layer, and I'll put the 5 and 12 volt, the 5 and the 3 volts internally, and the ground internally, and that way I can have signals on the top, then the ground layer, then I can have me 5 volt and 3 volt layer, and then signals on the bottom, and then that makes it a lot cleaner as well. And it was $7 to do a 4 layer board, as opposed to maybe $5 for a 2 layer, and you get more real estate to work with and things like that as well. So anyway, I'm waiting for those to come in. They'll be a couple of weeks away before they get back. The other thing is, I was talking to somebody who's gotten boards made up, and they said they don't have an issue. And I sent them one of my boards, one of these ones. Now, I've taken just this board, put a header connector into it, not soldered it, just put it into it, plugged it into the 328, and it locks up. Now, if I take this board off, just leave the header connector into it and turn it on, it boots up to the basic. So there's either a short on these boards, or there's an issue with the edge connector, or there's an issue with the 328. So anyway, Stephen sent me one of his boards from down south, and he'd got them done in black. So I went ahead and made up a black board, not one you're right on, and same thing, exactly the same thing. If I plug this in, the whole machine locks up. The Pico's booting, the power light's coming on the Pico, which means it's got power and it's starting up, but it's just not getting any information in and out. And we were talking, and he said it could be the connector, and that he's found at times he's had to wiggle it around or hold it in and get it, and that to me sounds like it's not going deep enough in to make it a connection. So the other thing I can do is to make an expansion connector. So just a board that'll plug into this, and it'll go to another one of these plugs, so it makes it longer. So it could be that this is being pushed out a little bit and is not making proper connection. So I'm going to try that, give that a go, and see if that makes it work. If it does, it may point to a slight design flaw with the way the connectors go on. And I was thinking that myself. I was thinking, well, should I do one where it only just barely comes through the board, so it gives you that little bit more headroom at the front? Because I can't see this being a big issue, because the super expanders would never work, and they run this type of edge connector. So we're toying with where the problem could be, and that the 328 boots fine and runs fine without anything plugged into it, and it's not the power supply. I pulled out another power supply, put it in, same problem. So the only thing we can put it down to is either it's a shorting on the edge connector, and that the edge connector is not lining up with these pins properly, and some of them were pretty rough in the day when they were made, or it's something in the machine and it's grounding for some reason. Could be voltages or something. There could be a fault in it somewhere, we don't know. And I don't have any other 328s with video out to try at the moment. The two that I have got that I used for my series are Mark 1s, and they are RF only, not composite, and I need composite. So, my world. So anyway, I don't think it is my boards, but I just wasn't happy with his way of routing the traces, so I've redone it and done it. If I get them and they work fine and I do not have an issue, I will contact him and ask him if he wants them. He can have them. They are his schematics. I've just incorporated it into a 4-layer board rather than a 2-layer. Better shielding. I mean, the other thing gives you better shielding between signals as well. So whether there's a little bit of degradation there with the signals once things get a bit hot and data moving around I'm talking about, that may have been part of the problem coming up. Who knows? Anyway, guys, that's enough of me waffling on for now. So, as I always say, have a great day. Have a great week. And until next time, ciao.